No, we've got a stacked slate on Saturdays. Week 7 of the college football season rolls on. Lane Kiffin rolling into his old stomping grounds. The former Tennessee head coach returning to Knoxville for the first time as Ole Miss head coach. Kiffin and the Rebels coming off a wild win over Arkansas last week, holding on 52-51. Hope you had the over. Saturday's over-under against Tennessee set at 82, highest total in an SEC game in over 20 years. Consider this, Ole Miss has the highest scoring offense in the SEC, while Tennessee ranks third. Alabama has the second highest scoring offense in the SEC, looking to bounce back after getting upset by Texas A&M last Saturday that snapped the Tide's 19-game winning streak. Tide visiting Mississippi State on Saturday night. SEC on CBS Game of the Week features the team who jumped Alabama in the rankings. Number 1 Georgia hosting an undefeated Kentucky team, 3:30 Eastern on CBS. Back here with Todd Fuhrman and Tim Doyle. Starting Knoxville, Lane Kiffin returns to town as a 2.5-point favorite. The total's a beefy 82. Tim, you always like to say that you want to party with people who take an over when the total's in the 70s. How about you start the party and take the over of 82 between Ole Miss and Old Rocky Top?
Yeah, let's party like it's 1982 because that's when I was born, all right? And it all started with a boy, a ball, a dream, and a pencil to make wagers and a parlay card, okay? Yes, this is going to be a high-scoring affair because Tennessee's hooker, their quarterback, likes to sling it. And Matty Corral with the hair, I know he's going to blow up on social media one day, but he likes to sling it as well. This is just a fun bet. If someone says, what do you like on Saturday? They go, I like over in this game. They go, what? 82 points? I like to bet my totals, Todd, the way I like to party. The more, the merrier to the party. I think this is going to be an absolute shootout. This number is insane. It's weird, and when I see weird, I go towards it, Todd.
You know what's even weirder, Tim? Over your left shoulder, like the devil there, I'm staring at Will Brinson's ugly mug, and it's scaring me half to death, dealing with you telling me about partying, busting out the props, and everything else that we have to work with. But I actually agree with you here. I make this total 85.5. So while it's not a massive edge by any stretch of the imagination, I do think over is the only way to look. When you look at these two teams, Tim highlighted some of their proficient offensive numbers. Both these teams also like to play fast. Tennessee #1 in terms of time per play. If it's up to Josh Heupel, he'd love to get off 3 offensive snaps inside of a minute. Ole Miss, no stranger to going quick either. And I think when you look at Tennessee's defense, people are talking about how this group may or may not have improved over the last couple weeks. But Missouri and South Carolina don't get you prepared for the homecoming of Lane Kiffin. Tim talked about the quarterbacks, but I think the ground games for both these teams will be on full display. Both teams come in averaging more than 250 yards per game running the football. I think we're in for a good old-fashioned firefight on Rocky Top. I'm going over the total. It's going to take at least 50 to get the victory in Knoxville.
Again, Ole Miss has the highest scoring offense in the SEC, while Tennessee ranks third. Alabama, second highest scoring offense in the SEC, looking to bounce back after getting upset by Texas A&M last Saturday that snapped the Tide's 19-game winning streak. Alabama visits Mississippi State on Saturday night as a 17-point favorite. Todd, is this the spot where you roll with the Tide to bounce back, or did last week's loss to Texas A&M bring up some concerns that are telling you to stay away?
I think Hakeem had brought up concerns that we'd seen bubbling to the surface since Alabama had to outlast Florida in Gainesville in their SEC opener. Now, am I going to put them on upset alert in this spot? Probably not. I think Mississippi State is a little bit limited on the offensive side, and it always scares me going against Nick Saban coming off of a regular season loss. I know it's a small sample size, but typically Alabama plays with their hair on fire. However, when you look at this Mississippi State team, they're extremely dynamic on the defensive side. Probably don't get enough credit for how stout they've been on the defensive line. They've had some extra time to prepare. Stark Vegas will be an electric atmosphere with all that cowbell out in full force on Saturday night. And until I see Alabama take care of above-average opponents and beat them by 3 touchdowns plus, I think some of this is based on reputation as much as anything else. It is worth saying, though, that when this number gets down to 16.5, there's been a little bit of money from professional bettors. I make this game closer to 2 touchdowns, so I'll take the value side with a live home underdog and hope Mississippi State can catch a little lightning in a bottle.
Todd, you and I are dancing, buddy. Face to face like Patrick Swayze and Baby in Dirty Dancing. You and I are looking at each other, and that's how I like to dance. I like to dance face to face. I don't like when I'm at a wedding and my wife gets on the dance floor, backs it up on me. Like, I'm too old for that. I prefer the face to face dancing. I'm going to add this to Mississippi State because everything Todd said I totally agree with. Will Rogers is their quarterback. The last great Will Rogers was Oklahoma's favorite son. Mississippi's favorite son. The guy throws it. How often? Over 60 times on average the last 3 games. Woo! Throw it all over the field. When I saw what Florida did in taking Alabama down to the wire. Rocky IV flashed in my head like the Russian is cut. Like that's what I saw. And then you lose last out for your Alabama. I've always said this about Alabama. When you bet against Alabama, you're asking for it. You either have to bet Alabama or you can't bet the game. But I think the Russians cut. And I always wondered what happened to the Russians. So I'm happy that there was a payoff to the sequel because he had a pretty tough life. Like the guy was going to be the champion. He's married to this model. All of a sudden loses one fight and he's living in an alley. The only guy who had it worse than the Russian was actually Apollo Creed, who won a controversial decision, lost by a second, retired, and then he died. Like, talk about a rough stretch for Apollo. And then after he's dead, it's like, oh, by the way, he had a kid he never talked to. Like, man, who wrote that script? I think Mississippi State's getting a lot of points in this spot, but I wouldn't say this is a mortgage-type bet because Alabama could be angry, and when Nick Saban's angry, that's not a good thing. Hakeem, what did you think? Did you think Apollo Creed got did dirty?
Yeah, of course. But that was the story that they wrote. So, I mean, that's what it is. It's you kind of just accept it. Just like, you know, I accept some of your nonsensical analysis. And I take it and I go, okay, that's what it's going to be. The SEC on CBS Game of the Week features the team who jumped Alabama in the rankings. #1 Georgia hosting an undefeated Kentucky team. Dogs have won the last 11 meetings against the Cats. And this Georgia team allowing less than 6 points per game this season. Georgia, a 21.5-point favorite. Total's 44.5. Tim, who do you like, the Dogs or the Cats?
I'm actually not an animal person. I told my kids I'm allergic to them. It's not true. It's a lie. I just don't want to have to manage it. You know what I mean? I'm the one who's going to have to walk them. And
you are.
I have 2 kids
exactly
along
like
the way.
me.
So I can't do it. I love visiting animals. I'm like a grandparent. I love visiting grandchildren. I just don't want to take care of it day to day. I respect people that have animals. I'm going to take the Cats here, and this is going to be a 10-2 hold on for dear life. You don't know what that means? Put the hands up 10-2 on the steering wheel and go, oh, God, here we go. Mark Stoops did an amazing job there. He's coaching football at a basketball school, and now they're undefeated. And if there's ever, Todd, a zenith of Kentucky football, we're living in it right now. Undefeated, 5-1 against the spread. And Georgia, it's different when you become #1. I don't care if you're #1 at anything. Like now the bullseye just gets a little bit bigger. Clearly they're the better team. I'm really looking at, Todd, the first 3 or 4 possessions. Can Kentucky's offensive line keep Georgia's professional line away from Levis? And Levis is going to have to make plays in this game because if Kentucky becomes one-dimensional where all they can do is run the football, that's going to be ugly. I feel like I'm kind of late to the Georgia train. This game kind of feels like what Georgia did to Arkansas, which makes me a little bit nervous. But I'll hold on for dear life, and 21.5 is a lot of points. So purr with the Wildcats.
You know, this is an extremely tough act to follow, Tim. I almost feel like this is Seinfeld. I'm not sure if you're Jerry or I'm Kenny Bania and how this works. Who's taking a dive for who? So people go, what the hell are these guys even talking about right now when it comes to breaking down some of the games? Although I am a little disappointed. I thought you were going to take Creed, bring it full circle, talking about Vince being the running back for the East Dillon Lions, and somehow get a Coach Taylor reference in here from Friday Night Lights. But back to the task at hand, when you look at Kentucky and Georgia, I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to lay the lumber here with the Bulldogs. When you look at Kentucky over their last 2 meetings against Georgia, they've scored a grand total of 3 points in those 2 games. What's even more miraculous about that, Kentucky's actually covered in both of those spots. 2 years ago in a monsoon as a 24-point dog, they lost 21-0. Last year, they were catching 17, lost the game 17-3. But for all the talk about how Kentucky was going to enter the 21st century, they were going to have a much more dynamic offense behind Will Levis, it's still a run-first group. Liam Cohen doesn't trust his personnel in the passing game. And I think if Georgia can sell out to neutralize, you know, Chris Rodriguez and Kvassier Smoke, Wan'Dale Robinson, the one threat in the passing game, it's not going to be a recipe for success. Kentucky's defense down a touch when you look at a lot of their efficiency metrics. And I think Georgia builds an early lead and they can ride the wave, lean under, but I feel like Georgia wins this game 31-3-ish.
Yeah, and Todd, how can you trust a quarterback, a guy that puts mayonnaise in his coffee and eats a banana with the skin on it? You can't trust someone like that. It's a little bit disturbing, Hakeem.
It's almost like the guy that brings fake props into a sports book and throws on his blue blocker glasses, and you're supposed to trust some of his investment advice.
Have any response there?
talking to me?
It's hard sneaking in all these props. No, it's hard. Todd, you don't know what it's like. I feel like Gallagher when I show up to these places. They're like, where's your watermelon? Like, I got to get the glasses in. I got hammers being snuck in. I had to wrap a hammer in tinfoil and sneak it in here. You know how hard that is to do, Akeem? In all places, New Jersey. I don't want to say it's like the Tony Soprano walker. It's kind of hard to sneak a hammer into a casino, but I've managed to do it.
You have, and you've done it very well. Very, very good job, as always. All right, let's look back at their picks here. Tim and Todd in lockstep here. They love the over of 82, highest total in an SEC game in over 20 years. That is a beefy total. Both like Mississippi State in the points as they host Alabama coming off an upset loss to Texas A&M. And split on Kentucky, Georgia. Tim says, give me the points. I like the Cats. Todd says, no, I'll take Georgia. I like the Dogs. Their defense best in the nation.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.